Hello, everyone. Good evening. It is Wind Down Wednesday. So today is January 3rd, 2024. This is the first episode of the year. So excited. So please go ahead, grab whatever you need to get comfy and cozy on this chilly winter evening. And I'll see you back here in about 30 seconds. All right, everyone. I'm so happy to be back with you. I feel like December was just a month of chaos. I don't know about you, but so I am feeling very thankful for January. Now, I will say, if you know me, you know I really struggle, like personally and professionally, in January and February because I always get that seasonal affective disorder so bad. So I am committed to my mental health and making like good decisions that are going to help me be set up for success in the best way possible, knowing that I'm going to have some bad days. And that's going to be okay too. But I'm very excited to be back with y'all. A few quick announcements before we hop in. My amazing colleague Adelicia has this incredible series. It's like a BPAC slash family information series, and she does these twice, or like she does each session like four times, I want to say, because she does two in English, two in Spanish, and she has morning, afternoon, evening times. It's all on our website, but be sure you check it out because this is a great thing to do to enhance your BPACs and to build family engagement, especially if you wear a lot of different hats in your district and you're also tasked with like running the BPAC, like have this be a great go-to resource for you. I know a lot of districts do watch parties for these events that will be their BPAC meeting. So check it out. It's all there. Other pieces that I wanted to share, other quick announcements is that I have a few upcoming workshops next week. So on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm repeating the same one. And this is going to be like testing, like tips and tricks. So that's coming because again, the reality of serving multilingual students is that we are administering the access test and like all the tests, right? It feels like it never ends. Testing season is upon us. Oh goodness. So I have two different options for that. So I have one on Tuesday from 10 to noon. So if you are during the school day, if you are able to get either coverage or if you could just participate virtually, it's great. It's free, easy peasy. If that doesn't work for your schedule, I'm repeating that same session on Thursday, the 11th from 4 to 6 after school. And I always try to I don't know. It's tricky for me to find a good time that fits everybody's needs because some people can, get release time or coverage time during the day. And then some people can't, but they are also so fried. They don't want to come after school. So I totally get that. So I'm still trying to figure out a good time for those virtual workshops. So if you have feedback, like let me know in the comments because I'm here to help y'all. So I would love your feedback. And then on Wednesday, the 10th, I have another virtual workshop. Again, very like free, virtual, easy peasy. And this one's a different topic. This is a workshop that I've done in the past, but I'm repeating it. And this one is supporting students at higher proficiency levels. So think like access level 3, 4, 5-ish. So that's coming up next Wednesday, the 10th from 9 to 11 a.m. But for tonight's topic, I wanted to talk with everybody about easing back in to the swing of things. So I always say, like, December is crazy. It is chaos. There's all these different things happening inside our classrooms, outside our classrooms, in our work life, outside our work life. December just feels very chaotic. And so January, I remember feeling like this after Thanksgiving, like that, or like a fall break, like coming back after a break of any kind can feel very overwhelming, can feel very intimidating. And I think winter break for a lot of us feels a little bit harder because, sometimes we're like hanging on for those little breaks, those little moments. Like, we love our jobs, we love our work, but it's human to feel like a sense of overwhelm. It's like the Sunday scaries type of vibe, right? So after winter break, it can feel like a lot coming back into work. So I wanted tonight's topic to be centered on easing back into the swing of things, both for ourselves and for our students and families, because if we're struggling with that, our students probably are too, and our colleagues probably are too. So we're all in this together. So today I wanted to share 5 different like tips or thoughts, ideas for us to consider as we ease back in to the swing of things to start 2024. So tip number 1, or idea consideration number 1, is use those first few days. Like, I know some of us are like, we got to hit the ground running. We got to do all these things. We got to get our access tests all organized and all of those things, right? But there are still moments where we have in front of our students, right? How are we going to ease them back in? How are we going to ease ourselves back in? So this is the first one. And I really, really, really love this one. And this is one that I did with my students like a lot, probably more frequently than most most of my teammates and colleagues. And this is the idea of resetting our physical space, so our classroom space. Now, you might be like, hey, Carly, I teach in a converted closet. I know, I hear you. Or you might say, Carly, I don't even have a converted closet. I teach on a cart and I go from place to place with a cart or a backpack or a fanny pack of supplies, whatever it might be. Use the term space in a way that makes sense to you and your context. But if you have like a physical space, a converted closet, a classroom, a mini classroom, a bulletin board, whatever it might be, think of how you want to re-energize that space, because sometimes the physical spaces that we inhabit can impact our moods. For example, if you have your teacher desk, and I'm not even going to show you mine right now because my desk is a problem. This is a good time to reset our spaces and maybe do like some organizing or things like that. We'll talk about organizing in a little bit, but just resetting the space so that it feels a little more joyful or it feels a little more peaceful. So if you know me, I'm very influenced by colors. You can see like all the things I have on my shelves. I have pink lockers back here with all kinds of like magnetic things. And so sometimes I will like reshuffle materials, where I put my books or where I put my Post-its or where I put my manipulatives or where I put my tools for workshops, all of those things. I'm going to go ahead and take stock and maybe move some pieces around. This is a great way to engage your students. Now, when I taught 3rd grade for 6 years, we implemented flexible seating, and I was a huge, huge fan of it. And there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of like do's and don'ts and all of those things. And that's not the topic for tonight. But I had the students create designs for how they wanted the classroom to look. And they kind of became our own interior designers for the classrooms. And so they would like, hey, Mrs. Spina, I've got an idea. And I'm like, all right, mark it up, like take a piece of paper, draw it all out, or describe it to us, and then walk us through your idea. And then like if a few kids had an idea, they would each present it to the class and explain why it might work or how it could benefit all of us as learners and our community of learners. And then we would all kind of say, yeah, like let's go ahead and try this one. Maybe we can take a component of that idea from this student and incorporate it into this idea. So we were kind of trying things out. And I loved doing this because the kids felt really empowered because they had control over our physical space, like what went on the walls and where did we put our bookshelves. And like, maybe we can't move entire bookshelves, but like, where do we put the plants? Where do we put our charging stations? What's a good spot in the room for the pencil sharpener? All of those little things, right? So give your kids that opportunity to say, you know what, this space in the room is underutilized, or we're not maximizing, opportunities for us to like, we have a great sensory bin for us to kind of calm ourselves when we need that regulation time. So maybe how can we like pull that out so that it gets used more or it's more accessible? So have those conversations with your kids on those first few days. That's a great way for us to ease back in to the swing of things for the start of the school year. So that's tip number 1, reset the space. Tip number 2, this is like an oldie good but a goodie because I say this one a lot, but especially December and January, because December is chaos. January can also feel a little bit chaotic or sluggish. And so if we're feeling sluggish or if we're feeling overwhelmed about coming back to school, having some time for intentional rest can be so powerful for your students and for you. So this could be a pocket of like 3 minutes. This could be an entire period of 45 minutes. Choose your own adventure, see what works best for you and your schedule and your students and their needs. But like, this could be a lot of different things. And I had a whole blog post dedicated to this. So if you're curious, I can try to link it in the comments here. But I talked about a few different things. I did the Spina Spa Day where we moved all of the bookshelves and the student desks and all the things. We brought in cucumbers for eyes. We set norms for how to use them. We played calming, soothing music. We did a meditation like on YouTube, like one of those kid-friendly meditations, things like that. Or you can explore those like the sound frequencies. There's brown noise, pink noise, green noise, white noise. All of those different noises have different frequencies, and they're supposed to serve a different purpose, each one. So you might try those out a little bit. You might have students say like, let's think about when we start, we'll talk in a few minutes about like expectations for behavior and routines and stuff, but they might say, okay, how do I need to sit to make my body feel most comfortable today? Let's tune in to what my body needs, what my mind needs, and let's explore that and lean into that a little bit. And then one of my other favorite things to do is looking at like visual stimuli that can be calming and soothing. So I love manatees, which is very random because I grew up in Chicago. Lake Michigan does not have manatees, but I love manatees. And so I love looking at the, it's like explore.org, I think it is, but they have like all of these different animal cams. And some of them are like really energetic, like river otters, like those little guys are nuts, right? There's just high energy. They run everywhere. But a manatee is like a slow moving, floating potato. And so I love the manatee cams, and I think it's Blue Springs State Park or maybe Homosassa State Park or something like that. It's in Florida. And they just have the manatees just like floating. But I'm like, that's cool. And there's one that has like soothing music that they play behind it. So even if you don't see a manatee floating by, you see fish. So like, I think that's just a cool thing. It's a great way to expose kids to animals that they might not see, especially, for us here in the Midwest, we don't have manatees, but it's a cool way to learn about the world and also have those little moments of soothing or like easing back in a nice, slow, supportive way. So spa day or planned rest. Tip number 3 is to have time maybe not a whole day, but time, devoted time to decluttering. Now, this could be a lot of different things. Like if you had a lot of like live plants and they all died, or you're trying to revive them, maybe this is a day where you're like cleaning up and tending to those. This could also be a moment where we're cleaning out desks and we're cleaning out lockers and we're like organizing folders and notebooks, maybe putting tabs on our notebooks to say, okay, that was last semester. Now this semester we're starting new. Maybe you give everybody like one of those binder clips and you say, okay, everyone's going to get a binder clip. Maybe we all put our initials on it. Maybe you do that in advance, just put initials on it with like a Sharpie. And then they all clip that to their notebooks so they can start finding things a little bit easier. So for example, if here is my next open page in my notebook, look at my Sanrio notebook, you guys. So maybe we all get a binder clip and maybe we put it on the side or put it on the top. And that's, now I can easily find where my next open spot is in my notebook. Or again, maybe we're tabbing things. But this could also be a moment where we're like, okay, again, kind of related to tip number 1, which was resetting the space. Like for me, my lips are always like crazy chapped. Does anyone else do this? Like you have a purse chapstick, a teacher bag chapstick, a car chapstick, a nightstand chapstick, an office. Like I have chapsticks everywhere. But I, every now and then, will lose one of them. And then I take one from the car and put it in my pocket on accident. And then my car chapstick is no more. It's gone. So this could be a moment where you're even looking at little things like that for your own self or for students, right? Like pencils. Those are things that we typically need often. Writing materials, binder clips, paper clips, all of those different things. Like where are we going to place these? And is everything in a space that makes sense? This could also be a good moment to inventory, like who doesn't have a working charger anymore? Who doesn't have working headphones or earbuds anymore? Does anyone need to put in a tech request because of something that happened over break, right? So this could be a moment of like digital organizing, physical organizing, recycling old materials, tending to things. Maybe it's a good time to like wipe down desks and stuff because germs are everywhere. Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you the number of people on my time, like on my social media feeds who have been sick this entire time. They didn't even get to enjoy their breaks. If that was you, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's another reason why we need to ease back in, right? And I think a lot of our students were also battling germs over break too. So another reason, right? We all need to ease back in very gently. So having a declutter day or declutter time to just kind of reorganize, reset, reacquaint ourselves with what's here, what do we need, who do we need to ask for help, all of those different things. So the next consideration, of course, is revisiting norms and revisiting expectations. Because again, anytime we have those breaks, even sometimes like if it's a 3-day weekend, right? Sometimes kids come back and they're like, did we all forget everything? Right? Like, y'all know how to do this. It's January. We've been third graders for months now. But, right, as human beings, sometimes it is good to just come together and have those discussions. And for norms, especially for like classroom norms, community norms, like when we co-construct those, I think it's so good and healthy to model like that revisitation, right? How are we doing with our norms? Are there any norms that we might need to have now because we are older and wiser and we have all grown as human beings since we started school and since maybe we constructed these at the beginning of the year? This is a great time for us to come together and revisit those. And you could do that in a few different ways. You could do that like looks like, sounds like, feels like type of chart. You might have students spend time like doing that independently and then all coming together and having like a whole group discussion. You could have that set up in table groups as discussion and then have whole group. It could be a number of different ways, but having that time to reset and revisit classroom norms, very important. and it'll benefit everybody. It'll benefit every kid in the class, and it'll help you too, because then you won't have to do those like, hang on, we have to stop, hang on, what are our rules, right? So let's just start the day revisiting and energizing ourselves around some of those expectations. This might also be a time where we have to like practice some of the expectations, like if you teach younger kids, like lining up in a safe way, or walking through the hall in a mindful way, right? All of those little things. This is a good time to just reset and revisit each of those pieces. That helps everybody recalibrate, and remember each of our rules and expectations and norms, all of those great things. Okay. And then the final one, tip 5 is I'm sorry. I didn't even click it. Did I click it? There it is. No, that's not it. Oh my goodness, it's not working. Okay, no, I don't know why this is not working. Well, tip 5 is to rebuild stamina. Let me see if it'll, oh, I see what I did. There it is. See, I need to ease back into StreamYard, you guys. Look at that. So tip 5 is to rebuild stamina. So this could be for anything. This might be like, my brain, I think, always goes to like independent reading time. Even if we told students, like, I really want y'all reading something over, this extended break, some kids might have, and then some kids might not have. And I don't want to punish anybody who hasn't, because sometimes that might have been outside of their control. So yeah. And it's not fun to come back after break and get punished on the first day back either. That doesn't feel good. That's not a good way to start the year. So we can just assume that everybody in our classroom needs that time to rebuild their stamina. It might be for like attending to a lesson, like focused listening. And again, focused listening does not always mean to have my eyes on the speaker the entire time for like a 12-minute mini lesson or a 45-minute lecture. That's not what it means to be an attentive listener in a culturally responsive classroom. Attentive listening still might be like, my eyes are not watching you. My eyes might not be watching the screen, but my eyes are on my paper as I take notes, or as I doodle, or as I have something in my hands, whatever. Could be a lot of different things. But let's keep going. Rebuilding stamina. If we're looking at, again, like independent reading, right? I might do that thing where I set like a timer and say, like, I just want us to have really focused reading for 3 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead, I'll project a clock up here. See if you can really, really focus in for 3 minutes on the text that you're reading. And then go ahead, everyone hop into their book, like see what they can do for those 3 minutes. And then once those 3 minutes are up, you can say to the students, depending on their age, all of those different, all the routines that you have in your classroom, and ask, like, how are we doing? Can we keep going? Do you feel like you were in a good groove? And kind of build from there. This might also be the case for group work or independent work or paired work. So think about all the different things that we ask of our students, and see if we can plan intentionally for those moments to rebuild our stamina, and letting kids know that it is okay. Because like as humans, right, there are sometimes where consistency is great. We're doing all the great things, but we might falter a little bit here or there. And that's okay. That's like the human experience. So that's not a bad thing. And we shouldn't punish, right, for those things. But instead, let's like use this as an opportunity to reset and recalibrate and rebuild stamina for different tasks that we want to do. So I think that was all. I think those were all 5 of my tips to ease back in the school year. But as you are thinking about, maybe you already started back, or maybe you're starting back next week, if you have tips or tools or resources or ideas for folks in our network, please leave those in the comments, because I think there's such power in sharing those. Even if you're like, well, it's not that big of a tip, or maybe it seems so obvious, please share it anyway, because it might be such a game changing moment for somebody else in our network. So please, please, please leave in your thoughts, ideas, reflections, and suggestions, considerations for all of us as we ease back in to the school year. Next week, I'm really excited for next week's topic. We're going to be talking about something called a Lister's Challenge. I'm really pumped about that. If you want a sneak peek, go to my blog. You'll see it up. You might even get started between now and then, and we'll chat more about it next week. But thank you all so much for joining me tonight, and I'll see you next week. Have a great restart, relaunch back into your school year. And I hope everyone had a very peaceful and restful December. Here's to January. We got this. You got this. Your students got this. We're all in this together.